Good morning, YouTube. Today, I'm bringing you an extremely and epic close match against Smogon user MarkDPenguin. I'm actually glad that this battle was played out until the very end. Neither of us disconnected or forfeited, so that just made me really happy. Maybe there is still some hope in Smogon University players after all. Not all of them are sore losers and spoiled brats, but having said that, the team preview, I already know that this team is going to give me a lot of trouble because it's a rainstall team. It's got the Vaporeon, which most likely is going to be passing on wishes and trying to get some burns with Scald. It's got the Donphin, who can receive wishes and get sturdy back intact and rapid spin and possibly stealth rock support. Jolteon, probably going to be a Scarfer or a Choice Specs variant. I'm thinking that Breloom is going to be a Poison Heal version since it's a Rain Stall team after all. He's got Ferrothorn, and Ferrothorn in the Rain seems to give all of my teams trouble since most of the time I'm overrunning fire attacks, whether it's Hidden Power Fire or Flamethrower, something like that. So Ferrothorn's going to be a nuisance, and his Politoed, I'm thinking, well, Politoed could really be anything. It could be a Choice Scarf user, it could be Choice Specs, it could be Parasong, Toxic Hypnosis, Encore, it just goes on with these, weather leads. So I was thinking, well, he probably is going to predict me to begin with Sableye, because Sableye can taunt and shut down 4 of his Pokemon. But as you can see here, I'm actually going to begin with the Genesect, and he actually begins with the Politoed, so I was thinking that's interesting. There's nothing wrong with it since he's most likely going to switch, and I'm just going to go for the U-turn, playing it safe here. So I get hit for some Iron Barbs, not that big of a deal. I'm just going to send in a Goldmine. Now here I was thinking of taunting, but I was like, he probably knows that I'll do it, so I'm just going to go for the Will-O-Wisp, and he does make a good prediction and just goes straight for the attack. Will-O-Wisp unfortunately misses, and I'm thinking, well, I'll just go for it a second time, and he actually stays in. I was thinking that he would switch out into his Vaporeon, but he actually was predicting me to switch out. That's why he went for the Thunder Wave, so I was like, well, that's not that big of a deal, because I have Prankster, and here I go for the Will-O-Wisp again, thinking that he's going to switch out, maybe into his Politoed. It's always good to just get some residual damage, but he just goes for Stealth Rocks, and now I go for the taunt, knowing that he's most likely going to lay up some spikes, but I get the Parahack, so I guess the Thunder Wave's helping him out a little bit. Now here, we both actually end up making a switch. He ends up switching into Politoed, which I wasn't expecting him to do. I just sent in Red Lobster to get an Intimidate and to possibly substitute and, start setting up on Ferrothorn, but maybe he predicted me to go into Gyarados. If so, really good prediction. If not, then random stuff happens, but he goes for the Parasong, and Parasong, that's the move I hate the most in Pokemon history. I just hate it, but here he's going to go for the Encore, so I'm like, well, he doesn't have Hidden Power Electric. I was scouting for that, because a lot of Politoads I've faced have Hidden Power Electric. And he's going to send in his Ferrothorn, which of course you see that the bounce misses, so I guess it didn't really even matter that much because I'm going to have to switch out anyway. Predicting that I'm going to switch and not let the Gyarados faint, he's just going to go straight for the Power Whip to get on some damage. So here I'm thinking I could Earthquake and try and destroy this thing, but then again he's probably going to send in Breloom, because Breloom can easily wall Impish Donphin, so I'm actually just going to go straight for the Rapid Spin to get rid of these hazards. That way my Pokemon can switch in more safely and all that good stuff. So he is indeed the Poison Heal set, and for some reason he withdraws. I'm not sure why he withdraws. Maybe he predicted me to go back into Sableye, I guess. If so, really good prediction. I'm just going to go ahead and taunt to prevent him from wishing, heal belling, whatever he wants to do, but he reveals that he has a substitute, so I'm thinking, okay, This is an offensive Vaporeon. That's interesting. I didn't expect it. He's going to send in his Ferrothorn while I switch out into Little Seizure, not wanting to get hit with Vaporeon Scald. And here I know he's going for the Thunder Wave, so I'm actually just going to go ahead and U-turn because I really don't want Little Seizure getting Parahaxed. And, why not send in Goldmine? Goldmine's a pretty good counter for Ferrothorn, for the most part anyway. And here I'm thinking, well, he's probably going to switch, so I'm just going to go for the Will-O-Wisp, but I get Parahax this turn. Now I go for the Will-O-Wisp, but it misses, so I'm like, Hax is really ruining me this match right now, but it's alright. Hax is part of the game, and I was like, the match has really just begun. And he's going to go ahead and send his Japan back in. I was going for the Will-O-Wisp, and he predicted that well, but it didn't really matter, because even if he did send in Ferrothorn, the worst case scenario is that he puts up Stealth Rocks and I finish him off, and I have to worry about trying to Rapid Spin a second time, which I'm probably not going to get a chance to do. But here he sends in the Breloom, and I'm thinking, well, I'm going to taunt you so you don't bulk up or whatever. But he predicts that and just goes straight for the Seed Bomb, so this guy's making some really nice predictions on me, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to stay in and let Sableye faint, get a Nightshade off, and I survive with 1 HP, but the game rubs it in my face by issuing the Parahax. So knowing that he's going to go for the Seed Bomb again, I just switch out into Queen Vexus. That way I get a special attack download boost, and since he knows that I have Ice Beam, this will most likely scare him out, and I can get a U-turn switch advantage. So he sends in many toes, and that's really good for me because now I'm just going to go ahead and send in Little Seizure, who I know can take, Scald, Surfs, Hydro Pumps, whatever it's got. If he does Parasong, which he may do, which he actually does do, and I'm like, well, okay. I'm just going to go ahead and start Zen Headbutting to get this thing's health low enough to where I can U-turn out on the last turn before Parasong hits 0. So that Zen Headbutt did a pretty good chunk of damage, and he's going to go for the Hydro Pump. And the second Zen Headbutt misses, so I'm like, well, okay, not that big of a deal. But then, as you can see here, his Hydro Pump is going to indeed hit, but my third Zen Headbutt's going to miss, so I'm like, Hax is just destroying me so badly this game. I don't even know why. So here I know that he's going to switch out because he wants to save many toes, so now I'm going to go for the U-turn as planned, and this gives me the switch advantage into Genesect. But here I make a really critical misplay. I end up going for the Bug Buzz, thinking that it would take out the Donphin. I was really thinking that it would, but I barely miscalculated, and it costs Queen Vexus her life because Earthquake is going to destroy, and he was actually running an Adamant Natured, so I might actually try using that sometime in the future. But here he's just going to go for the Ice Shard to get a little bit of damage off, and I'm just going to Zen Headbutt to finish him off. So now he's going to send in his Death Shock, and I'm thinking, well, I want to save Little Seizure, and Circus Act really hasn't done much of a performance this whole match, so I'm going to send it in as Death Fodder and allow him to get some, Life Orb recoil damage. And here I just go for the Ice Shard, just trying to get off some damage, and that was 15%. Impish Donphin really has horrible attack. It can't do anything. And here he makes a critical misplay as well. He goes for the Shadow Ball, and Little Seizure survives and revenge kills with Zen Headbutt. He really should have just went for the Thunderbolt. I'm not quite sure he didn't do it since Donphin fainted, and I don't know, but he's just going to go ahead and Hydro Pump Little Seizure now, so that wasn't too big of a deal to me because now I can just go ahead and send in Red Lobster. Stealth Rock does indeed hurt, but this time I'm just going to go straight for the bounce. There's no need to sub since he'll just Parasong anyway and ruin my fun yet again. So here I'm just like, well, hopefully I can at least do 50 damage, 50% damage, and it does about 50, and as soon as I saw Hidden Power, I was like, oh, well, it's Hidden Power Electric, it's over, but he actually runs Hidden Power Grass, so maybe he misused Pokegen for that, but if he did that, saved Gyarados, saved Red Lobster, and able to use another bounce, which is going to cause him to switch out because he wants to save his Poly, and he knows that his Vaporeon can easily take a bounce. So right now I'm thinking, well, I'm about to try and stall this thing out with Substitute and get up at least 2 or 3 Dragon Dances, but he goes for the Substitute of his own, knowing that whatever I go for, he'll be behind a sub. So I was like, well, this forces me to Earthquake, because if I go for the Dragon Dance and he's still behind the sub, if it happens to run Toxic or whatnot, then Red Lobster's finished. And really, from this one, I really can't even switch out Red Lobster, and the reason why is because he's got I have Dragonite, but its multi-skill will be broken because of Stealth Rock, and Sableye only has 20 HP, so the moment it steps foot on the battlefield, it's going to faint, so I really only have 2 Pokemon left. But now I'm going to go for the Dragon Dance behind this sub, because I want him to pretty much start, I guess, panicking, really just panicking, and he actually does panic. The Dragon Dance gets in his mind, and he was hoping I went for the Earthquake, but here I'm just going to go for the sub again, playing it safe. And now I'm going to go for the bounce, because I did not want to take the chance of Earthquake not fainting Politoed, and then the Parasong ends up causing trouble all over again. So bounce was a really good play on my part. I had to take a couple of moments to think about it, but now bounce can destroy this Parasonging Politoed, so go get that Justin Timberlake Cry Me a River out of here, hearing about your song. So here I go for the Earthquake, because I thought he was going to substitute to try and, poison heal, stall out my bounce power points, which is what I would have done, but he just goes for the Facade. So here I take a risk going for the bounce, because now he could have went for the substitute and pretty much spored and ended Gyarados, but bounce is going to destroy this Breloom with ease. So now it comes down to the wire, as it's really down to just this Vaporeon. Basically, the goal here that I must fulfill in order to win is Gyarados must at least get up, he needs to be at +2 attack, or she needs to be at +2 attack. That way, when Vaporeon's hit, it'll be taken to about yellow. If maximum damage is involved, it'll get taken to yellow, and then Dragonite can easily come in and outrage, hoping that it gets maximum damage. If it gets minimum, then it'll Ice Beam, and the game is lost on my part. But here you can see we're just stalling. He's playing very safe. He knows that he still has a chance. I know that I still have a chance. So, heart's beating, adrenaline, all that good stuff. Just really excited, having a good time here. And he's going to go for the Ice Beam, but he gets minimum damage and does not break the sub. So here I should have went straight for the Dragon Dance, but I was playing safe. Once again, I was thinking, well, if he goes for the substitute, I should be able to take him to the range where he'll waste a turn because he won't have enough health. But he ends up playing a very safe move and just goes for the rest. So I go for the Earthquake again, because I'm thinking, well, he'll probably try and substitute, but here he just goes straight for the Ice Beam. So that Earthquake definitely did maximum damage. That was like almost 50% from a +1. So I was like, I'm just going to substitute again, knowing that you'll most likely rest or put up a substitute, and I'm just going to go ahead and I go for another Earthquake here, which, no, I go for the Dragon Dance now. Pretty much now I see that I need more power, and the only way that I'm going to prevent this Vaporeon from stalling me out and getting me to the point where I can't sub anymore is if I just bank on this substitute not breaking. I was banking like, please don't break, but he gets the maximum damage and it breaks. So now I'm like, I have no choice but to Earthquake, and he's going to be able to take out the Gyarados. So now it just comes down to the wire. If Dragonite can get maximum damage on this Outrage, I'll win. If it gets minimum damage, then the Vaporeon will barely survive. So I hope you all enjoyed this really close and epic match. Good game, MarkDPenguin, and this is UnhappyCarousel signing out.